Okay, everybody, it's Bobby Biggs. This is the BobbyBiggerCast. This is episode 7. This is episode 8, part 2 of the Sciatica sagas. The Sciatica saga. I don't know if it's supposed to be plural or what, but if you're watching this video, or even if you're not, today is Sunday, January 24th, 1:30 p.m. I am an hour and a half away from the NFC Championship game in football, the NFL. Tampa Bay Bucks at Green Bay Packers. Wanted to record this episode. As you can see, if you're watching the video, that's my alarm telling me that it's 1:30. I don't know why. Oh yeah, so I could do the podcast. Anywho, this is part 2 of the Sciatica saga. NFC Championship game today. If you're watching the video, you can see I'm wearing a Tampa Bay hat. Doug Williams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mitchell and Ness jersey. I got a Tampa Bay sweatshirt on underneath this. Underneath that is another Tampa Bay sweatshirt. Underneath that is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers t-shirt. And I'm wearing my Tampa Bay Buccaneers tennis shoes. Some people might call me a geek, if you will, a nerd. Well, I say, up your butt. I ain't no geek. I ain't no nerd. I wasn't in Lambda. Revenge of the Nerds reference. Great movie, by the way. A lot of people say it doesn't hold up. I beg to differ. Check out Revenge of the Nerds. Anyway, so we'll talk a little, just a tad bit of football right now. Not much. Tampa Bay's going into Green Bay. They play them in an hour and a half, and I think Tampa Bay is going to pull off the upset and host the Super Bowl. First time ever a team in the Super Bowl will be playing in the Super Bowl at their home stadium. That might have been a horrible sentence. First time a team will host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. That's what's going to happen, guys. Sorry, Packers fans. I don't go spreads. I don't do any of that stuff. Win or lose, Tampa Bay's going to win. If they don't, fuck you. All right, so that out of the way. Back to the Sciatica sagas. If you listen to part 1, you heard about how this all started with my sciatica, bad back, foot. I won't rehash the whole thing. Although I will say, I actually invited a friend over today to watch the football game with me, a buddy named Jason Cantor. And I don't know if I mentioned his name in the previous episode, but the reason I bring up his name now, not only because he might come over to watch the football game with me, but he is the guy that started all this shit because he invited me to go get barbecue. And we went to get barbecue, and it was a 10-minute bus ride, 5-minute walk. When I got off the bus, started walking, my legs started hurting. And that's where all this shit started, if you remember, from episode 1. Part 1 of episode 7. So I blame Jason Cantor for all of my pain. And if you've met him, that's probably a well-deserved title or thing for him to have, for me to blame him on all my pain. Episode 8, Sciatica Saga, part 2. Well, part 2 of episode 7. Fuck, I don't know. It's episode 8, but it's part 2 of the Sciatica Saga. Jesus Christ, you're an idiot. When we last left you, I was telling you about shitting in the bed because I couldn't stand up. Forget I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down. Couldn't sit down on the toilet. Couldn't sit upright. So if you can't sit upright, how are you gonna take a poop? So couldn't do that. Couldn't do the bedpan. Took a dump in the bed on this extra heavy sheet called a chuck. nice, we'll say Jamaican lady, because I think she had a Jamaican accent, so little Caribbean accent came. She got to wipe my butt. Anyway, so that happened about the third day I was in the hospital. So I hadn't pooped in like a week. Uh, Food was good in the hospital. I was in the hospital for a week. So now we're on like day 4. By day 4, I can actually still can't sit on a toilet long enough to take a poop, or I forget taking a poop. I couldn't wipe my butt. Well, you know, to take a poop and then have to, I don't know how I would get back to the bed and then what, wipe myself in the bed. I don't know. But I was able to stand up for a few seconds and kind of shuffle over to a little padded chair they had in the hospital room. So I could sit there and watch TV, and they wanted me to sit up because it was hard. It's hard to sit up in the bed. It's hard to sit up in the chair. I had to like lean to the right, but I was able to do that. So that was nice. And then like eating, they could pull a tray up to me. So it was easier to eat in that chair than it was in the bed. Just for some reason, even though it was like, it's like a Craftmatic adjustable bed, uh, it was just harder. It was very hard to eat in bed if it was something that I needed to use like a knife or a spoon. If it was something, like an apple or fruit that I could just grab. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was grabbing fucking stew and soup. God, I actually wasn't that hungry in the hospital because I was kind of pissed that I was there, and we'll say depressed, but not depressed like I have depression. I need to take. Not that I'm not making fun of that, but I was down. When you go from being and a professional, basically a professional level athlete like I was, to being incapacitated in the hospital, that's going to get you down a little bit. I'm sure, a lot of the professional athletes that listen to my podcast can certainly relate. So I'm able to sit in a chair finally, eat a little bit better. Like I said, I like the food in the hospital. It's good. Uh, then they brought me a bathroom chair. I guess that's what it's called, a toilet chair, which is basically just a chair with a much bigger than this, but not much, with a circle cut in it. And there's basically a bucket underneath it. And you sit in this chair. I'm sitting on a shower chair right now. I don't know if you can see the handle of the shower chair. I discussed this last episode, how my roommate, I thought he was going to take it apart once we took it out of the shower because I don't need it anymore. Your boy can stand up in the shower. Yeah, that's big news. So since I can stand up in the shower, I said, "Hey, let's take out the shower bench." And so we moved it, and now it's our desk chair. Yes, there actually is butt schmutz on it, I guess. I'm actually sitting on I bought a fucking ass cushion from the from Amazon. I'll show you. Curved for my buttocks. It's like $20 on Amazon. Memory foam, nothing but the best. Oh, mama, that feels good. Feels good on my butt cheek. So, let's see where I'm at. So I'm at uh can sit in the chair. They're like, "Hey, well, do you want to try this toilet chair?" Like I said, it's a chair with a fucking big circle cut out of it. There's a bucket underneath it so you can shit and piss in it. I'm like, "Great." One of the problems is though, I can't reach my hand to wipe my butt. Putting my hand, and here's another secret that I haven't told anybody. I don't think I've said this. I wipe my ass going through the front of my legs, and then I wipe my butt back to front. I reach in between my legs, you know, scrape my balls with the hand with clean toilet paper, go all the way into the back of the butthole, bring it forward, but I don't bring it forward like into the taint. If you do, you just wipe it off. It doesn't get on the balls or anything, but that's how here's the story. I'm pretty sure I haven't told this on the podcast. Super secret story that I haven't told anybody. When I was a little kid, like 10 years old, up in upstate New York, Liverpool, New York, right by Syracuse, about 10 years old, to go in the woods with my friends because we had found some dirty magazines. That's what it used to be like, kids. I sound like I'm 100 years old. When you either got porn from your friend's dad or older brother had a tape and you fucking passed the tape around. Mind you, not realizing that you're passing this tape around with your buddies. So everybody's, jerking off and then taking the tape out of the VCR. And who knows if they're washing their hand, blah, blah, blah. Magazines you didn't usually like borrow. Sometimes you did, but it was, or you found porn in the woods somehow. So we found, people would have forts and stuff. And we found a fort. I don't know how old it was that somebody had made in the woods by our house. And there was porn in it. So we would go in, we'd go there whenever we could and look at the porn. And it was in the woods. So it's not, you didn't really want to take the magazines home because they might have been a little wet with jisms. No, it could have been just the weather. Yikes. So I'm going with a couple of buddies of mine. I'm in front of them. We're going through the woods. I'm leaning down, and apparently I had taken a shit. I'm leaning down to go under a branch. Not apparently, I had taken a dump right before we went to the woods. I wiped my butt, normal style, hand behind your back, down a crack, coming up the, front to back, as opposed to my inner. So I used to wipe, from the back, front to back. And apparently I smeared poop up my butt crack. And I didn't realize it. So I leaned down, my pants kind of, show a little top of the butt crack, and there's a shit streak. I only know this because I hear behind me when I bend down, I hear, I hear one of my buddies go, and then one of them, there was two of them, and one of them was like, I think, did Bob shit his pants? And I heard him say that, and then like we get to the fort, and I'm like, hey guys, I forgot, I gotta do something. I made up some excuse and I went home. I went home and cleaned my fucking upper ass crack. And ever since then, since I was 10 years old, and that experience scarred me, changed me. Ever since then, I wipe my ass going in between my legs, back of the butt, wipe it to the front, just front of the hole. Some gets on the taint. You clean it off, not a big deal. But I don't ever wipe shit on my balls, even with bad diarrhea. I've never done that. All right, we're getting graphic. Point being, I'm not going to do that in the shower chair when the shower chair is right there. And my girlfriend doesn't even know this at this point, at the point we're in the hospital. She's there because another thing, my girlfriend, my fiance, oh my God, that's another big announcement. Jesus Christ, she would have fucking killed me. I'm just so into, the Sciatica sagas, baby, and football. She's my fiance. Last Saturday, what is that, the 16th? I proposed to my girlfriend. Oh, and we did it on Zoom. This is a great, great little short story we'll cut into. Last Saturday, January 23rd, was my grandmother, my Nana's 102nd birthday. Happy birthday, Nana. 102. She's all there mentally. Started using a walker, but, up until a couple years ago, never using a walker. She walks better than I do. I feel like I got to use a fucking cane. She's 102. I'm 49. I mean, I'm 39. Blah, 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 blah. So since we can't get together, I was in Houston, but all my family's in Houston. We couldn't get together. So I said, let's do a Zoom call with Nana. We'll get Nana, my aunts and uncles, meaning her sons and daughters, and my sister, uh, all our family. So we do a Zoom call for Nana, but I also got Elizabeth, my fiance's friends, her best friends, about 6 of them, and her parents, After about 15 minutes of talking to Nana, singing her happy birthday, I'm in charge of the meeting. I let all her friends into the meeting. And then her sister brought down Lola, her dog, our dog, my favorite dog, my soon to be doctor, dogter, dog daughter, officially. Brought her from upstairs, and she had the ring I bought tied around her neck, like tied around on her collar in a box. So it was cute. Elizabeth said yes. I don't know why. So now I'm engaged. And it was a Zoom call. Great. I'll have my Nana's birthday and my engagement to look at forever. I would have if I had fucking remembered to hit record. I did all this. My whole selling point to everybody was, I'll have it recorded. We can look at it later. We can laugh at it. We can show it at parties. We can show it to our kids. Show it to Lola. I fucking forgot to hit record. And I was the only administrator, so nobody else could record it. I mean, I guess they could have if they did something fancy, but it wasn't, I didn't ask anybody to because I was supposed to do it. So anyway, before all that, so Elizabeth is living in Houston. I'm in New York. I'm in the hospital. She comes up to be with me at the hospital. And she comes up for like 2 weeks. She's got a great job that she was able to take off. She's a nurse, even with COVID, being as it is. She's got a very great job at the hospital she works at, and she was able to take off like, I think it was almost, if it wasn't 2 weeks, it was like 10 days. She came up to see me. I'm in the hospital, so she's there. So, I'm not gonna. I don't think I've told her the wiping thing at that point. I think I've told her since, or I might have told her then. She might have known it though. I'm not sure. Uh, so I'm like, I can't get my hand back there to wipe my butt because the hole in the toilet chair was very small. I thought it was small. I mean, at that point, I got a big fucking fat ass. 265 at that point. I probably lost a little weight, 260. So I'm like, I can't wipe my butt. And my girlfriend says, and she's authorized me to relay this information. She said, just get back into bed and I'll wipe your butt. So, guys, I kind of had to marry her at that point. Has anyone out there had their girlfriend at the time? She's not even my fiance at the time. Has anyone had their girlfriend wipe their butt? Legitimately wipe their butt. And we're talking, now I've stood up, plopped on the bed onto the, extra thick Chuck sheet. So there's probably, hate to say it, like butter between the cheeks. It's not going to be just like, ooh, there's a little poop in the hole. No, we're talking butter between the cheeks, smearage. So sorry to be graphic, but I love her. And so Elizabeth was there, so she helped me do that. But I talked before about how I couldn't even take a shower. So I'm in the hospital for like 3 days. Then they tell me, this is another super secret surprise. I might have mentioned this on G-Hole. I think I did. I know I did. They told me I had diabetes when I checked into the hospital. Yeah. I was not happy about that. So I'm taking pills for my nerve pain. I don't have high blood pressure or anything, but now, and they're giving me shots for diabetes. And I'm like, oh my God. Type 2. I can cut ahead because I mentioned this on the G-Hole, but cut ahead to now. Nah, I won't cut ahead. But yeah, they told me I had diabetes. Now so they're giving me shots, and I was not happy about that. I mean, the shots don't feel like anything, but I don't want to be taking fucking insulin for the rest of my life. I mean, I went to the hospital, a healthy boy with a little back pain, and I leave with diabetes. So I'm at the hospital for, I guess, like 3 more days. And during that time, uh, they're like, well, we're going to send you. I mean, I guess that was basically it there. I mean, I think I talked about, getting an MRI, all that stuff. Oh, but w- back to the toilet chair. So before Elizabeth wiped my ass, I tried to wipe my ass because I was getting better movement. So I was able to put my hand in there to wipe it. And when I came out with the toilet paper, I was like, I just wiped. I go, there's nothing on the toilet paper. I'm like, that's impossible. Then I pulled up my gown. I had wiped my ass with the fucking gown I was wearing. As I put my hand, I don't remember if I went front or back. I think I actually went front because Elizabeth, yeah, she already knew this at the time. And when I pulled the gown out, or when I pulled my hand out, the gown kind of stuck to it because it was covered in shit. And I was like, and of course, Elizabeth was dying of laughter, and I was just like, I think I was laughing too, but I was just like, what the? I was like, what the hell? You get shit on your gown, you got to get a new gown, but you also have to sit there with a fucking shitty gown until they bring you one. Because in the hospital, they make you wear a gown, the regular hospital. So one of the things, uh, oh, my buddy. So my buddy, finally, all right. So I'm in the hospital for a week. Basically, nothing happens the next 3 days. I'm just in there. They've already done all the, they've already done all the tests. The MRIs. Every day they're giving me pills and shots and taking blood, all this shit. So then I get to go to, and Elizabeth's still there. She's coming every day to visit me because she loves me. And she only wiped my ass once. I think I only took 2 shits in the hospital, to be honest with you. Um, which was very the only physical therapy I was doing in the hospital, that I would stand up and I could use a walker and walk like maybe 2 or 3 steps. It was terrible. Like I said, being a professional athlete, former professional athlete, it's very unbecoming, burp, unbecoming, if you will. So I'm in the hospital doing all this. Then they're going to transfer me to a rehab hospital, a physical rehab hospital. And I'm like, okay, what are the choices? And they're like, well, you can go to an acute rehab hospital or a subacute rehab hospital. And let me make sure that I get these uh, things correct. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. A subacute rehab place is basically an old folks home where uh, it's like a retirement home, old folks home, where you get like 2 or 3 sessions a week of physical therapy. An acute rehab facility is one where you get like 2 or 3 hours a day. And I was like, well, I want to go to the acute one because I'm cute. All right. I want to go to the an acute rehab facility, because I want to do the rehab as much as possible, intense, and get fucking up and walking and running. I will be running again, I promise. Doing something, just not just laying in the fucking bed. As much as I did that when I was healthy, it's not as fun as it sounds when you have to be laying in bed. So I was like, and with my Medicaid and the timing, I was like, well, do you have something in Astoria? And it's COVID, so rehab facilities they're taking COVID patients too. It's not just people with bad backs. Um, so they're trying to find one near where I live. I get a phone call. They find one in Astoria. I'm like, oh, great. But it ends up being I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And then I go, oh, is this an acute or a subacute? And they're like, oh, it's a subacute. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to a Wow, I keep saying old folks home. What's the fucking correct term? I mean, that's basically what I mean, that's what it was. So I was like, nah, I don't want to go there. Then I got very lucky. This place called Burke Rehab in White Plains, New York. It's about 25 miles north of the city. Now Elizabeth's in town, and I'm like, but how the hell is she going to get there? Because I'm looking up Google Maps, and it's like you can't take, you take the train. It's like take the train, a bus, and an Uber. I'm like, yeah, that's what she wants to do is spend 2 hours getting there every day. She's going to come like once and be like, sorry, Bob. I end up going to this place. Elizabeth ends up, uh, I'm there for 2 weeks. She ended up getting a hotel room for like the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then came to see me Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Uh, the first Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. So that was very nice. That was like I think she came up like the third day. That was like the Friday was the third or fourth day I was there of the 2 weeks. So uh, the physical rehab place that was the food was pretty good. It was hard. I mean, just the coming in again. I couldn't even ride in a wheelchair. Like riding in a wheelchair was very hard. I remember when I left the hospital to transfer to the rehab hospital, they had to put me on a stretcher. I had to like go in a stretcher in the ambulance, and then the ambulance took me right to the place. So and then getting there, they want to do rehab, and I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere because unless you're going to take me in a stretcher, because I kind of have to lay down to be comfortable. Uh, so they would just come in and um, do the rehab, at least for the first few days, in my bed. It was just a lot of stretching and some isometric type things. But it's amazing how like I couldn't even lay on my stomach because your stomach's so fat. No, because it like you lay on your stomach, it stretches your back, and I couldn't do it. They're like, okay, lay on your stomach, and I couldn't even do it for like 20 seconds. Uh, you know, so very difficult. Still sleeping on my right side, taking, pain pills, oxycodone, I believe is what I was taking. Like when I was awake, like every 4 hours. Uh, you know, again, worried about using the bathroom. So I don't and haven't taken a shower yet. Only had a couple of sponge baths, as we remember, but basically like 1.5 sponge baths in 10 days. This place has a shower wheelchair. So I get first, as soon as I get there, I'm like, can I get a shower? They're like, oh, you got here. You just missed shower time. And I'm like, please, I really need a shower. I go, at least wash my hair with real water. They're like, maybe we can get you tomorrow. I think I had to wait 2 days because it wasn't my rotation. You get a shower every other day, and I missed that. So, and I did get there late that first night. So the third day I'm there, they take me to get a shower. I still haven't pooped yet. Taking stool softeners. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bloated or anything. Just haven't pooped. Eating food, watching what I'm eating because I actually look a lot of things had like potatoes. I wasn't eating potatoes. I'm already started trying to cut carbs. Uh, and they weigh you every morning in that place. So this is when I first noticed. I know when I started, I was 260 to 265 when I went in the hospital. Now it's been like I get weighed like 8 days in, and I was like 240. And I was like, holy shit. Uh, so I was already losing weight, but I hadn't pooped any. Uh, so my body's just burning fuel because I'm a monster. So I finally get to take a shower, but they got to put me in this wheelchair, and I can't sit like that. So the wheelchair the wheelchair shower chair is it's a wheelchair that just again has a big hole in it, but the hole goes all the way to the front. So like the front of the I wish I had a drawing. It's like the wheelchair has a circle in it, so that, and then, but the front of it is cut open so that it actually works for wiping my ass, although you're not supposed to obviously take a shit or wipe your ass in this chair. But you can reach down between your legs and get your butthole, clean your butthole, clean your nuts, clean your taint, all that stuff when you're in the shower, because they just wheel you in the chair. The lady wheels you up, and then they wheel you, and you got a shower wand, and so that you can scrub your nuts and asshole. The chair has a hole in it, and that goes all the way to the front, so you can stick your hand in between in the wheelchair. It's solid in the back, so you can't go from the back. Uh, I tell the lady though, I'm like, we got to go fast doing this because I can't sit like this. I'm like leaning to the right. Well, we're able to do it. After about 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, we got to go back to the room because my leg's fucking killing me. My leg is actually starting to hurt right now, sitting here, but nothing like it used to. So, I'm in the shower, and this is like the greatest fucking shower I've ever had in my life because I haven't had one in like 10 days. And also, I've got psoriasis, which is a skin disease where like your skin flakes. I don't have it that as bad as many people do, but it was really like growing on my head. Nobody could see it, but I could feel it. I could feel like scales on my fucking head because it'd been like 10 days since I washed my hair with dandruff shampoo. Dandruff shampoo's fine. I use like this fancy over the counter tea gel stuff, therapeutic tea gel for like psoriasis, and works great on your head. So I've got like flakes and stuff on my head, and it's just this one wash. I'm like, oh my God, it feels so good. It felt so good. And I'm telling this lady, so when we go in there, I go, am I allowed to pee in the shower? And again, lady with Jamaican / Caribbean accent. Oh yeah. I could have said, she said, no problem, man. I hate doing the accent. Sorry. Uh, and then I go, well, what if I have to go poop? She's like, oh no. She's like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, oh, okay. I go, I'm not going to, I don't have to. I was just wondering. Uh, so she like wheels you in. They give you like washcloth. She squirts soap on it. I get like all this, whatever I can reach. She gets like my calves and feet, my back. It's a pretty good shower, and the water, it felt awesome. I don't know the longest you've ever gone without actually taking a shower, or a bath, even. 10 days with one and a half very shitty sponge baths does not cut it. So I'm in there, and this was kind of funny. The lady goes, we're getting ready to get out, and I'm spraying myself with the wand, getting all, because I can spray myself all over to get the water off. I just can't reach certain areas to soap them up, but the water to hose them off. So she grabs a thing, and she goes, lift up your donuts. And I knew what she meant, but I started laughing. I was like, what? And she goes, you heard me, lift up your donuts. She wanted me to lift up my nuts, but she called them my donuts, which I thought was very funny. Funny lady. So I lifted up my donuts. She squirted the water in there. And because of that, I've kept in touch with her. No, I have not. But again, greatest shower I think I've ever had in my life. So now we're in the rehab hospital, been in there about 3 days. Have this old guy as a roommate. He's like in his 90s, very nice guy. I think his dad, he said he used to own an electronics store in Brooklyn. And his son would come in, and the old guy was in his 90s, and he was funny because he'd be like, every time they bring us food, because they bring you 3 meals a day. It was like 9, 1, and 5. They would bring us, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, you get to order what you want, or, they tell you what they have. Lady would come in. She'd come in right after breakfast and say, okay, she has an iPad, and she's like, what do you want for lunch, dinner, and breakfast tomorrow? And she's like, for lunch, we have whatever, cheeseburger, French fries, salad. Like there's a whole bunch. There's a couple different main courses, appetizers, not appetizers. I mean, like a salad. There's like a couple main courses, a couple sides, and what you want to drink and what you want for dessert. Now, I'm diabetic, so they're counting carbs and, shit sugar. You can have soda, but it's sugar free. And at that point, I'm like, fucking sugar free bullshit diet sodas. But whatever. It's that or lose a foot. So you're getting plenty of food. Well, I'm also, at this point, 240. This guy that's 90 years old, I mean, he probably weighs 115 pounds. And finally, like the second or third day, this person would always come in every day, like after lunch, and they'd be like, "How's the food?" Sometimes it'd be after dinner, they'd be like, "How's the food today?" And you're supposed to tell them how it is. And I would always be like, "Oh, it's great." So one day, this guy goes, they asked the old guy, and he's like, "There's just so much of it. I've never had this much food in my life." And I was like, "Well, yeah, you weigh like 100." So for him, it was a lot of food. For me, it was like, "Oh, wow, this is, it's not like they were giving me good food. It wasn't like, I mean, a salad's a salad, but, there would be stuff like pot roast and, like I said, hamburgers, cheeseburgers. They were just counting the carbs, and it had to be like, I think it was like each meal was like 40 or 45 carbs. It had to be less than that. Now, I don't fucking know. I've never counted carbs. I don't know but there'd be a receipt that had all the carbs. And it seemed like every time I'd order food, by the time we got like to dessert, uh, or I'd be like, "Could I have the last thing?" It would always be like, "Ah, you can't have that." I'd be like, "Oh, okay." But like I love mashed potatoes and gravy. It seemed like there was always something with potatoes in it, regular potatoes. But I knew I should, even though they're counting the carbs on the meal themselves, I'm figure I should cut them too. So say like one day there was pot roast and mashed potatoes in addition to like a salad and a cookie and a Diet Coke and water. So I had one of the hard. By the way, mashed potatoes and gravy, my favorite food. That is I know, whatever. I know you wouldn't expect a fancy upper class person like myself, but my favorite food of all time is mashed potatoes and brown gravy. Uh, Oddly enough, my dad's favorite food too. My dad still eats it. I don't know if I've said this, but my dad has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, so he can't really chew food. But he's always loved mashed potatoes, and he can still have he eats instant Idahoan. I think it's Idahoan. I don't know. Instant mashed potatoes and gravy. They have all the different flavors, and my mom whips them up for him. No pun intended. Well, it's my favorite food too, and uh, I would take like one bite, and it wasn't like a huge bite, but I'd just be like, I'd eat all the fucking pot roast and the salad and everything else. But I was definitely watching. And if they gave me dessert, I mean, obviously it was like sugar free. Oh, and my birthday was during this time. I said all this shit started on October 20th in the hospital. I think I got out of the hospital on the 27th, moved to the rehab hospital. So a week into being at the rehab hospital is my birthday. I can honestly say, worst birthday I've ever had, because I believe by that point, pretty sure I could look at a calendar, but no, well, without a doubt, Elizabeth was gone. Elizabeth wasn't there. When I turned on the TV that morning, my name was on the TV. That was kind of neat. But then, I didn't get anything. I got from them. Lady came in, some office person, and like gave me a laminated thing that said "Happy Birthday, Robert" from Burke Rehab. I mean, I guess that was nice. But all I got was like some fucking vanilla yogurt or something at dinner. It was for lunch or dinner, I forget. That was like here's your treat. I mean, I ate it, but that's beside the point. Where's the cake? It was like fat-free vanilla ice cream. Ugh. I mean, again, I ate it, but not the point, people. Be that as it may, I did not enjoy it. Yes, I enjoyed the ice cream, but that's beside the point. So, in the rehab for my birthday, eating the food. But the old guy, I forget what his name was, the roommate that was like, "This is so much food." But I'm eating all this food, watching what I'm eating, never hungry, and I'm losing weight. At one point, I remember stepping on the scale, and it was like one morning, it was like 235, and I was like, "Holy shit." And the girl was like, "What? Is that too high?" And I was like, "Too high?" I go, "I haven't seen that number in 25 years." She was like, "Oh." So, like, no, lady, I was fatter than this, not that I'm gaining weight. But it is weird when you actually are, in the hospital or a place that's serving you food every day, and they're counting carbs for you, if you will, what normal portions look like on a plate. And it's not that because my food eating, and I've definitely stuck with it. My food eating before, if you didn't know, was shoving McDonald's down my fucking throat at a fast pace. No, I only did that once for the eating contest with Jim Stansel. Uh, you know, call it what you will. I mean, I wasn't eating fast food necessarily like Burger King and McDonald's and stuff. I get an argument with my girlfriend over whether Dunkin' Donuts is fast food, but I was eating. I would eat coffee and donuts. Not all the time, but whenever I went to Dunkin' Donuts, I'd usually get a donut. I was eating some of their Beyond Meat, like I say McMuffins. They're like, English muffin with the Beyond sausage patties, but still that's bread. Um, but my food intake was, eating a whole Chipotle bowl, with rice and beans and everything. And Chipotle has new cauliflower rice, lime cilantro cauliflower rice. So I eat that now instead of regular rice. Uh, but it's New York City. Going to delis, getting a big fucking sandwich. If you've heard my other podcast, the G Hole with Ray DeVito, talked about going to the movies and how I would, sneak in a fucking sandwich from the deli, eat that whole thing. I mean, I don't really eat bread anymore. Uh, but I used great Euro truck, the King of Egypt, right around the corner from my apartment. I would go there all the time and get a giant Euro, eat that whole thing. There's never any left over. Huge Euro, $6, just huge filled with chunks of meat, chunks of Euro meat or chicken. Ridiculous. Eat and fries and eat the whole fucking thing. A separate order of fries. They would give you fries, and I'd be like, no, I want a whole separate box of fries. And I would eat all that in one sitting. I can tell you, I got a Euro recently from there. I've done it a couple times, but I just get the meat over salad, and it takes me 3 meals to eat it as opposed to eating it in one sitting. So, seeing plates that I said when they first brought me the plate with the regular amount of food on it, I was like, whoa, what's this? And I pointed to the side of the plate. They're like, what? And I'm like, what's this? They go, oh, that's the plate. And I'm like, oh, usually when there's food on it, I can't see that. I can't see a plate because it's just covered in food. So having normal portions of different items. And I've stuck with that as you'll see in part 3 of this episode. So I'm at the rehab and you know what? I was at Queens Presbyterian Hospital. Everybody there was really nice, very helpful and just very nice, friendly. Same thing at the rehab hospital. Although being at the rehab hospital, it was a very nice place, immaculate. I mean, I got very lucky that there was a space open when I needed to go, and everybody there was very nice, except outside of the physical therapists. I was like the youngest patient there, or at least everybody I saw in the gym. And nothing humbles you more than when you're seeing like a 80, 90-year-old person and they're walking fine without a fucking cane or crutches or anything. And here comes me. Like I couldn't use a cane. I had to use a walker. That'll definitely humble you. So in the in the rehab doing, and it was getting better every day. That was the thing. Every day it seemed like I was getting a little better. Could lay on my stomach a little longer each day. They're stretching my leg. My leg would go up a little higher, still does. Eventually, I know I'm kind of jumping around being at the rehab place because it was 2 weeks. Eventually, got to where I could sit in a wheelchair so they could take me down to the because it was on like the the floor below us. So we had to go all the way down the hallway to the elevator. And what they do is they line everybody up at the elevator and you just wait your turn. There's like 3 elevators and they have people that run the elevators. Person comes in, takes you, they might put like 2 people, 2 or 3 people max in the elevator because it only hold, it's you got everybody's in elevators, everybody's in wheelchairs. Well, when I first tried to go down to they like plop me. I can't sit in front. The reason they were doing the rehab in my room, the therapy, was because I couldn't sit up, so I couldn't sit in the wheelchair. Like I can't sit in the wheelchair to go down to the even though I could take a shower, the shower chair was happened to be I go, "Can you take me in the shower chair? Because that's more comfortable." And they're like, "No, we can't." I was like, "Well, I can't go in the regular wheelchair." First time we tried to do it, I go, "You can't just plop me in front of in the line." I go, "Because I can't sit there that long." And they're like, "Oh, it's not gonna be long." Of course, they sit me there. After about 5 minutes, I'm like I wasn't, like, yelling and screaming, but I was like, "I need to move." I can't sit here. My leg's starting to hurt." Got lucky. They took me down. So after that, whenever I would go downstairs, sometimes it was like 50-50. Sometimes they'd come up and they could just do the therapy in my room. Other times when we go down to the therapy in the gym, they got like these tables that are just like they're matted. So you just like I would just flop on the table, plop down on the table. I could lay down and they do all the stuff there. But also they would skip the line. They would take me in the wheelchair from my room. I'd be like, all right, let's go. We go automatically. Next elevator bay that opened up, I'd get right in there. They'd take me downstairs. By the time they got there, I was like almost jumping out of the wheelchair to flop myself on the mat. But they were very nice. I mean, doing stuff like that, I can only imagine how, someone in my position or a patient, just any, people yell at them and stuff. And, you know, doing that rehab, there were times it was not fun or I wasn't, you're not seeing progress. Man, I felt better. I felt better yesterday and today, yesterday I could walk back and forth in this large room 4 times. I go, today I do it once and I'm like, I got to stop. And that discourages you. And you're like, am I going to get better? But they were very nice. And I'll admit I cried sometimes when, thinking about all this stuff. I mean, let's say it's a week into being at the rehab and uh seeing some progress, but then we would do occupational therapy, which is they have like a fake apartment. Uh they have a fake apartment in this room and there's like a shower, a bath, a toilet, a kitchen sink, a bed. They're like, "Okay, we go over to the bed." And it's COVID time, so they're like spraying everything down. They got to change, one person touches the bed, they got to change the sheets. I mean, it was nice. I knew everything was definitely clean. I mean, because I was licking everything anyway. So uh they like they like, say, "All right, lay down on the bed. All right. Now you got to go to the bathroom." So go over to the bathroom. I got my walker, get up, go to the toilet. But I can't really sit down, but they the toilets there, they had like a toilet riser, like a 6-inch, toilet seat. And I was like, "Oh, this is, that feels better." So I could sit there. They show me how to like they show me the shower bench. They're like, but it's depressing thinking about all that stuff when you're like, I- you know, I got a roommate and I was like, I don't want to go home and have to put a fucking toilet riser on the seat and then and a shower bench. Bathroom's not that big. Toilet riser, okay, but like the shower bench, I'm like, this is gonna be in the way. Luckily, my roommate, Paul Odo, great guy. One of the best guys you'll ever meet. Wonderful artist. Look him up on all the social media. I'll put a link. I'll try to put a link to his stuff, but Pauloddo. He's a comedian, but he's been doing some art. He's an artist too, been doing a lot of art during this COVID, selling his paintings. Very talented. So check out Paul Odo on Instagram. You can find it just by searching his name, Pauloddo. D is in dog. Uh, I was like, man, I don't want to put him out and be like, hey, we got to use our toilet seat's going to be 6 inches higher. And now there's going to be a fucking bench in the shower, hanging halfway out of the shower so I can sit on it and spin my fat ass around, less fat, into the shower. But he was like, hey, got to do what you got to do. He's like, it's all right. I mean, he even installed the toilet riser when I finally came home and put together the shower bench, which I'm sitting on right now. I showed you earlier. So great guy. But when you're thinking all that stuff and you're like, I don't want to have to use a toilet riser, use a fucking, I can't even stand up in the shower. And just thinking of, the different shit that's fucked up that now I got to do stuff like this because I'm handicapped, if you will. Getting better, but so let's see. I think we've gotten to a point of being in the rehab facility. Uh, where are we? Doing the occupational therapy. It's kind of the same thing every day in that rehab hospital. Uh, Basically Monday through Friday, have like 3 hour sessions of physical therapy. Like I said, very intense. Saturday, there'd usually be like one or two, and then had Sundays off. But you know, the human body's amazing, and it definitely helped me out. I'm trying to think what point. Well, let's get all the way. We'll go all the way till I go home. So I'm in there. I'm going to be in the rehab hospital for 2 weeks. We're at the point now. Oh, and also in the occupational thing, they're like, she's like, okay, go make coffee. Go in the kitchen and make coffee. And they have a regular coffee pot, And I'm like, well, first of all, I have a Q. I don't know what this Neanderthal machine is, but I have a Q rig at home. So it's basically, lift it up, put the thing in, water, press the button. So I got to make, they want to see if you can do stuff. As I said, like get in the shower, go to the bathroom, uh, make coffee. And, so I'm able to stand up for about 5 minutes at this point. So I make coffee, uh, and every day, like going to the gym, I would walk. Basically, I would just like walk in circles in the thing, see how far I could walk. And they're writing everything down, extensive, very detailed charts and graphs of my progress every day. Some days, not as much as others, but very nice in there. And then they tell me, all right, well, you can, we're going to send you home. It's Friday. It's a Friday. And they're like, we're going to send you home on Tuesday because you've been here 2 weeks. And I guess my Medicaid only covers 2 weeks at the rehab hospital after the week in the hospital. And I was like, fuck. I go, I don't know if I can go home. I go, I don't know what I can do. My thinking was, well, if the elevator's not working, I don't know if I can get up the fucking stairs. It's only the second floor, but still. And the elevator works 95% of the time, except when they're dumping trash. Which, you know, since I've been home, that's only happened a couple times. I've had to take the stairs, but I'm a lot better now. Anyway, that's jumping ahead. So I'm like, it's Friday, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I. And they're like, well, you either go home or you go to. God damn, why am I calling it a retirement community? It's not a retirement community. Uh, what is it called? Uh, old folks home. A nursing home. Hey, dumbass, it's called a nursing home. So they said, well, if you don't go home, you can go to a nursing home. And I was like, all right, well, that I think I can go home. Nursing home, COVID central. Like I'm not, and I'd get physical therapy like again, once or twice, maybe 3 times a week. Well, if I go home, I'll get therapy. They'll have somebody come to my house. It'll be the same thing. It'll only be like 2 or 3 times a week, but they'll come to my house because I can't sit in a car. So end up saying, okay, I guess I'll go home. Uh, so when I'm getting ready to go home, I tell them I can't. I'm like, well, how am I going to get home? I can't sit. I can't sit in an Uber because I can't sit down regular. Well, they'd get an ambulance to take me home, which I thought was funny because I was like, how many times do ambulances actually drop people off back at their house? Like people were like, guess he didn't have insurance. They just took him back. So they tell me they're gonna uh, send me home like that, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I can do at home. So that's where we'll stop this episode, part 2 of the Sciatica Saga. Bob is on his way home, is told he's going to go home from the rehab hospital. He's going to go home to his apartment. So that's the end of this episode. Oh, by the way, I should tell you guys, as always, we are sponsored by Bobby Biggs Chipotle Hot Sauce from Silk City Hot Sauce. Go to silkcityhotsauce.com, use passcode BIGGS, BIGGS, and get, I believe, 10% off. It's at least 10, it might be 15% off any order. So check it out. There's all these other, check out these other sauces they have. They actually have other comedian sauces. Chad Zumach's Mango Madness. They also have Aaron Berg's Badass Jew hot sauce. I believe that's made with Manischewitz wine. And a new one of their newest one, Green Aztec Attack. It says Carpe Verde. That means green. Seize the green. Can't wait to try this. But pick up some Bobby Biggs Chipotle. Buy whatever you want there. Just be sure and use passcode Biggs. And also, they have a store. Silk City Hot Sauce has a store on Redbubble. I believe it's Redbubble. For those of you listening, I'm looking in my phone. Yeah, go on Redbubble. It's an app, and Silk City Hot Sauce. Search Silk City Hot 138. Silk City Hot 138 on Redbubble, and they have a store where you can buy Bobby Biggs Chipotle shirts, sweatshirts, a whole bunch of stuff. And actually, I'm looking for. I know I'm a terrible host. Let me see. Because I got a Silk City hot sauce. What am I talking about? A Bobby Biggs Chipotle t-shirt. Look at that. Bobby Biggs Chipotle, the label on a t-shirt. So go to Redbubble, search Silk City Hot Sauce 138. Redbubble's an app to buy stuff. Silk City Hot Sauce 138, and you can find all the Silk City gear. You can get stuff with all these different labels on them: t-shirts, hats, phone skins, sweatshirts. I bought my fiance a sweatshirt with the Bobby Biggs Chipotle. So check that out. All right, I've rambled long enough. Appreciate you guys listening. This is episode 2 of and remember, guys, I mean, please pick up some BBC. We know you guys love BBC. That's Bobby Biggs Chipotle. Got a lot of fans out there that love BBC. Let's give a shout out for BBC. That's the name of the podcast, too. BBC. BobbyBiggerCast. I try to get that website, bbc.com, but I was kind of disappointed it wasn't available. I don't know what else is using that, but if you love BBC, check out this podcast, BobbyBiggerCast.com. All right, guys, thanks for listening. That's the end of part 2 of the Sciatica sagas. Part 3 coming up. We'll tape that next week. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Love you.